And here we are for the 5 Reasons Sports post-game show. The Miami Dolphins have lost 31-23, which was pretty darn close, honestly, to my prediction. It was just 1 touchdown off, but either way, there's a lot to be frustrated about, but I'm not going to go and start talking right away. I'm actually just going to go ahead and let my friend Michael here, welcome to the post-game show. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk first because, quite frankly, I'm going to rant for a little bit, so I don't want to take up everybody's time right off the bat. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, thanks for having me. I feel like, I called 31-24 before the game started. It ended 31-23. I got to say the defense had some pretty bad mistakes there in some really key moments, right? At the end of the second quarter, that big play, you have that touchdown again near the end of the game to David Moore. But personally, I honestly don't blame the defense too much for this loss because I thought they played pretty well, right? You held the Seahawks, who have the most explosive quarterback in the NFL right now, right? 14 touchdowns, was leading the NFL coming into this game. I think they actually played pretty decent. I put a lot more of this game on the offense. You settled for way too many field goals. You've got to try to make something happen. And, I saw Lewis, you tweeted on the 3rd and 3 run that they had when they had the chance to take the lead with the touchdown. The running game was doing fine, but you got to go for the pass there, right? You got to go for it. You've got to go for something big. And I just didn't see them going for anything too big until it was a little too late, in my opinion. So personally, I think the defense played pretty well. Igbinoghene had a couple bad mistakes, but he's a super young player. I don't expect that, to continue for him the rest of his career. But yeah, I think the offense really let us down today.
And Kai.
Listen, man, all I can say is that wasn't a first down. Like, it was not a first down. I truthfully doubt that they would have rushed down the field and scored a touchdown and 2-point conversion, but that wasn't a first down. Fitzpatrick, I think the offense, like Michael said, it just let down the team today. Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as it is. Seahawks scored 31 points. You held the Seahawks to 31 points with I think most people would say the undisputed MVP quarterback right now, at least like that in the rankings. Maybe you'd say him and probably like Aaron Rodgers, something like that. And on top of that, he didn't even have a good game. Like, he just had he had a good game, but not what he's been having the past 3 weeks. The offense, it hasn't been the offense the past 3 weeks that's been letting them down. Obviously against the Patriots it was bad, but like against the Bills, they weren't the ones that let them down. Against the Jaguars, they were able to win, and it was obviously the offense that put up points. Like, the offense just let them down today. You score. I love the brand. Hit a 45-yard field goal today. Love the brand, right? But like, come on, you settling for the field goals. You drew up some play. There was one play where you gave. It was on one of the drives where you got a field goal, a screen to Jordan Howard, who got popped. You could say that's partially Jesse Davis's fault there, but how do you, when you're thinking, right, okay, we're gonna give a screenplay to a running back, the first thought in your mind is you go to Jordan Howard? The offense, I'm not too mad because, like I was saying, a lot of people thought the Dolphins were going to lose this game. I thought they would win this game, and if the offense held their own, they definitely could have. It's whatever. Yeah. Fans are going to be calling for Tua, and that's just how it is.
And this is where I come in.
Go hit it, Lewis.
The Dolphins were going to lose this game. I said they were going to lose this game. I think everybody in their hearts thought the Dolphins were going to lose this game. Even people who picked the Dolphins to win, I think more really they were picking with their hearts more so than their heads, because this is the Seattle Seahawks. These are not the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are not the New York Jets. These are the Seahawks with a MVP leading an MVP candidate who is pretty much leading the league in all the stuff that matters. And the fact that they did hold them as long as they did, this defense, you should give them major props for doing what they did. Shaq Lawson, he showed up. Kyle Van Noy was missing, I'll say that. But Shaq Lawson showed up. Emmanuel Ogbah showed up. Yep. And let's give credit to Xavier Howard. He was the guy who made that interception in the end zone. It could have been a lot worse than it already was. Yep. And this is where I start getting upset, because this is the Dolphins fan base in a nutshell. It has been ever since I got started with this whole shebang. If you're not a superstar right away, then obviously you're trash. You don't belong on an NFL football field. Poor Noah Igbinoghene. Seriously, when I say that this kid was not supposed to be out there yet. This is not an excuse. He literally was not supposed to be out there yet. This is why they signed Byron Jones. This is why Xavier Howard is still there. Byron Jones is the guy who sticks to his man like glue and makes it impossible to get completions. Xavier Howard is the one who makes turnovers. He's not the guy who does that. Xavier Howard got an interception. If it had been Byron Jones, things might have been different. So to blame Igbinoghene, yes, he screwed up. Yes, he did bad. Yes, all these things are true, but they are not proof that he is a bust as a first-round draft pick. I'm sorry. And if you think I'm going crazy trying to defend this kid, too bad. For real.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
What do you expect from him? He's a first-round draft pick, yes, but name me just name a few. You'll probably name a few first-round corners that immediately are the best in the NFL, but a lot of them, at least at the very beginning, they struggle. They don't become lockdown corners in year one of their careers very often.
Yeah.
They need time to develop, to cook. We knew that Igbinoghene was a very high upside but raw player. That was the same thing that we had with Austin Jackson. That was the same thing we had with Solomon Kinley, but we got spoiled with Kinley because he's already proving to be good.
Yep.
So there we go. We got
And
lucky on that
Jackson.
one.
And Jackson,
Austin
and
Jackson's
Jackson.
pretty good too. He's not the best yet, but he's working on it, and it's going to be even better down the long run. So
It's just it's like they need to just calm. It's like, again, just calm. Just we need to all kind of like meditate, take some deep breaths. Like, yeah, Igbinoghene had some poor plays. Again, he's a first round rookie, and when you think about like this class, some of them start, like CJ Henderson for the Jaguars had a really good first 2 weeks, got burned in the third week. I don't know how he played today, but like that's gonna happen. Like there's a learning curve. It's not like it's just easy like this. Yeah, you're gonna have some generational talents who are gonna come out and just do that.
Yeah.
You drafted, as you said, when you drafted Noah Igbinoghene, you didn't sit there going, all right, he's gonna be our day one starter, even though we just signed Byron Jones and we have Xavier Howard, who's not gonna get suspended. Like that's not, that wasn't never the plan, and it wasn't gonna happen. I think like the people who are trashing on Noah Igbinoghene, and this hurts my heart as much as I say it because I love who I'm about to say, should be going at Nick Needham, who was played very well last year and has essentially played himself, has to be on the field right now, but if Byron Jones is healthy, off the field.
Yep.
Like they should be more so directing their hate towards him or their distaste towards him, because he's someone who proved that he should have stayed on the roster, and just the first 4 weeks is lost. Like he's lost on the field.
And with Igbinoghene, I mean, look at the people that he's had a bad time against, right? He got thrown into the lineup
That was the other
against
thing.
Stephon Diggs, right? Stephon Diggs is going to burn most of the corners in the league. There's a small handful of elite cornerbacks that Stephon Diggs is not going to burn, and Nick Igbinoghene is not one of them yet. If you think he was supposed to be, you're fooling yourself. And this week, the wide receiver that kind of cooked him a little bit was Moore, right? And Moore, we're not going to put him in the same category as Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, but he's getting passes from.
He faced them too.
Yeah, but he's getting thrown the ball from Russell Wilson, who's going to put the ball in a great spot. That touchdown at the end of the game, Igbinoghene absolutely could have played it better.
Yeah,
but the ball was also in a beautiful spot. A ball placement that honestly, not all the quarterbacks in the NFL could make. Some might leave it a little bit short, and then Igbinoghene has a better shot on the ball. And if somebody plays it short, Igbinoghene gets the interception. Everybody says, wow, this kid is playing great. It was the ball placement. He had a bad couple of plays. They came up at the wrong times. I don't think anybody calling for his head has any actual standing right now.
Right. That's the thing about this whole thing it's difficult. Execution ends up trumping everything else, because if Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't get his arm whacked at the very beginning of the game, that interception probably doesn't happen. If Myles Gaskin actually gets a hole and manages to run for those 3 yards near the goal line, then nobody's saying that's a bad play call. And all these things, if it works, it's genius. If it doesn't work, then you're calling for his head. That's the kind of mentality that makes it difficult to be an analyst, because if you let yourself get so hyped up in what happened and not in what the intention was, the Dolphins, they've been talking about it all game long, that they want the Dolphins to maintain the running game, keep a balance going, make sure you're not giving up the run so that you throw the ball 50 times a game. That's literally what they said they didn't want to happen. So now they start running the ball consistently. They're getting like 5 yards a carry. But because this time it didn't work, it was a terrible call. And that's where the frustration for me comes in, because you can't judge it based on the results. You have to judge it on what was going on. Gaskin had been running very well that whole drive, the whole previous drive, But this time it didn't work. And so,
yeah.
Womp womp. What do you want?
And you've got a second wide receiver in Preston Williams who right now has disappeared. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I'd have to go back and watch the tape, right? I can be honest, and I wasn't following him exactly on every play, but I didn't see him on many plays. There was a couple plays where he was open, and I was like, maybe you could have given him the ball, but I don't know where he's gone. I don't know what's happening there.
I don't think Fitzpatrick can push the ball down the field anymore. I think his arm is fried. And this is hold on, because 100%. I'm gonna say this one last time. It's not Tua time. It's still not. I'm sorry. Because again, this is the expectation for the season. This is why the Dolphins did not draft immediate impact players. This is why they drafted high upside developmental prospects intended to be better in year 2 and 3 and not right this second. That is why they drafted these players. This year was not the year to win. This is why they're letting Fitzpatrick take those lumps. This is why they're letting Fitzpatrick do all this stuff right now, because they're letting Tua sit, wait. They're making absolutely 100% sure there can be no question about whether his hip is good or not. He's getting a chance to watch and see what happens. And you can't simultaneously say that Fitzpatrick is a moron and doesn't know what he's doing, and also say that he's a great tutor that's going to be great for Tua down the line. So you can't have both. He's either smart or he's not. Sorry.
Kai, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's those two things, and I'm so glad that both of you brought them up. One, like, I'm one that I really didn't like that 3rd and 3 call that Gaskin got blown up on, but it's whatever. At the same time, one of the things that you need to do, as Michael said, and as Alf said last week on the post game, you have to look at the tape first, because a lot of these plays could be good play calls that just get blown up because of whatever reason. A missed, read on the protection, a receiver not getting off of, the line fast enough, not running the route. There's so many things that can go wrong off of that. So it could have been a good play. Could have been like good play calls. And then the second thing, Fitzpatrick, his arm is shot. It is. I think people have been saying that since the Bills game, because you could see it in the Bills game. But at the same time, like would it be fun to see Tua right now? Yeah, for sure. Of course, everyone would love to see it. But like, it's the part of you that wants to see it a lot, but just why right now?
What is the upside? You have to ask yourself, what is the upside? Because if Tua hurts himself and he's done, then you're stuck now.
Yeah,
because you ain't getting Trevor Lawrence. The Jets are on a fast track.
We might with the Texans pick. We might win the Texans pick. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey.
But it just doesn't make any sense right now. Like, I understand it. It's like, I really do understand it. But at the same time, it's just, what are we going to see that we don't like? We already know what his place is going to be in the offense. We know what the offensive flaws have at the moment. Like, what is putting him out there going to do? Unless Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt, or we start, like, they see in practice, all right, his arm really, like, can't do it. He can't do it. Then okay, then you have to put him in. But it's the same thing with Herbert. People are going to get mad, and especially because Herbert's been playing well. He's been making some rookie mistakes, because that's going to happen. But people are going to get upset because, Herbert's out there. But Herbert's out there off of something like unpredictable. Like, that's the only reason why. It's just.
But with Herbert,
I don't get it.
Herbert's only played like two weeks now. I think this was his third game, or this was his second game.
No, 2 weeks. Yeah.
No, I think he's only his second game.
Right.
The Chiefs last week.
I'll say the tape's not out on Herbert yet. Right.
No, this might
I think rookie quarterbacks coming into it for a lot of times, defenses have to adjust, see what they like, and then take it away. I'd slow down on the Herbert stuff right now. He's looking fine.
This is his third.
Oh, it is his third game?
I would slow down a little bit on Herbert. My only thing with Tua is I agree with you guys completely on don't start him. I don't think he needs to play the whole game. I do believe we can get at least 1 to 2 gadget plays with Tua in at quarterback. And I don't see where that would hurt. Yes, you run the risk of him getting hurt, but if you get Tua hurt on that one random play, we're going to look back on it and say, man, that was terrible. But I think if we get him some exposure, it's something in a red zone play, right? Because Fitzpatrick doesn't have the arm right now to zing it in there.
All right, here's the thing. Everybody keeps asking why stick with Fitzpatrick. I'm going to explain why. You ready? Because the moment you put Tua in, there will be no way to justify pulling him ever. Because
this isn't Josh Rosen.
Even if he doesn't do well, you will never be able to justify pulling him. You put him in, he's there for the rest of the season because the fan base will not accept a return to Fitzpatrick if Tua goes out there.
Yeah. And no one's going to give Tua the short leash that everybody's giving Igbinoghene, right? Like when Tua throws his first interception, nobody's going to say,
honestly, I'm not
Tua's
sure. I'm not sure, really. I'm really
I don't
not
think
sure.
so. We're more patient with quarterbacks than we are with every other position.
Dude, the stop. It's okay. Tua can get hurt next year. Anyone can get hurt on any play at any time.
Seriously.
It's possible in everything. But the same thing that people were cautious about when drafting Tua was how healthy is the hip. Right now, we know that he's way healthier than he should have been by this point. But it's just the same thing. Do you really want to take that risk? Why not a few more games, a few more weeks to just get it to a point where you can feel even more confident? If you have to pull Fitzpatrick and you want to put Tua in, then you can do it. But why risk it now? Just because he's ahead of what he was supposed to be at this time? It just, as much as Fitzpatrick's been having those issues with his arm, and even though he's not this great quarterback, he still has like the knowledge to be able to evade the pocket, as we've seen at times, and the offensive line's playing well. Like it just doesn't make sense right now.
Well, and this guy just said it. Tua is more instinctive in the pocket. I think Tua was really instinctive in college, but I wouldn't agree with that just yet. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has a really good sense of pocket like presence and knowing when to try to get out of it and make something happen. And I wouldn't say Tua's ahead of him just yet. Sorry, Luis.
The Dolphins would be better if Tua was the quarterback. I'm going to call that now. They would be better. They would be better if Tua was the quarterback. But you have nothing to gain by throwing him out there now. The Dolphins are 1-3. This season was never meant to be about making the playoffs. The frustration that you are seeing is because people are tired of losing. And I get it. I don't like losing either. I follow the Jason Taylor mentality of I hate losing more than I love winning. But I already knew, and I think a lot of people also did this as well, they knew that this year was not about winning and going to the playoffs, winning a Super Bowl. That's what a rebuild is. This is an actual rebuild. All this stuff talking about how we're rebuilding the Dolphins over the past decade, it was never a true rebuild. This back in 2019, that's when they finally admitted that, you know what, this Band-Aid stuff is not working. That's why they tore down the roster. That's why they got rid of all the crappy contracts they didn't want anymore. They found a bunch of young guys and say, okay, let's see who has upside. Okay, you, and you can stay. The rest of you, go kick rocks. And
leave that up, Manny. Leave that comment up.
Yeah,
just leave that comment.
The Herbert comment. Go ahead. Put it back.
No. The one you just put up. Tua needs to play to gain experience. It's the same question we've been talking about, right? Why? He's learning off the field. We've seen that there are quarterbacks that have had success that have done the same thing. Why does he have to go right now? Why is it that right now he has to go out? Because we're losing. If the Bills game turns in your favor, if the Patriots game, Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't throw his interceptions, if today there's the same thing, let's say they're 3-1, you're not going to be saying the same thing. That he needs experience. You're going to be saying let Fitzpatrick stay in until he turns into Fitztragic. It's just because we're losing. You have to take away the fact that they're losing. Also think again, they're still more competitive through 4 games than they were at all last year.
Yep.
Like you have to take away from the losing and just think about the long-term success and think about the long-term. Like you have people, you can't point at, like, it doesn't matter if it's not the same. If you want to bring that one up as well, Manny, that he just said it's not the same as an actual game. It doesn't matter if it's not the same as an actual game, and you can't put the direct comparison of what happened with the transition from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. But you'd rather give your quarterback some time to learn. Like that's one of the main issues. You want to draft a quarterback, start him immediately, no matter what, and put him out there into the fire, and that could hurt them. Think like Josh Rosen had some upside when he was drafted by the Cardinals. One, they didn't want him, which was a stupid pick anyways for them because they didn't want him. But you put him out there and you give him the situation where he's going to be put in the worst situation possible. Why not give your quarterback a year to learn and get a year to get acclimated into what the NFL is? And if you want to, if you have to, put him out in week 16 or week 17, sorry.
Well, and we want the offensive line to learn and grow too, right? Like the offensive line is playing well. But none of us can sit here and say that the offensive line is ready and stout and it's a wall, right? So give them a little more time. Right? We have 2 rookies on the line. Give them a little more time and put Tua in when you feel more comfortable with not only the offensive line, but you feel comfortable saying, okay, at this point, he needs to get some game experience. Week 15 and 16, fine, right? But now it doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to go ahead and read some things off here. There are a lot of people who are upset over the fact.
I'm looking at it right here. Yeah,
that they're upset over the fact that Tua's not
I just
playing
want
now.
to say this one thing, and it's the only reason why I came back in. I feel like ever since, because the first quarterback I ever saw that took snaps right out of college when I really got into football was Peyton Manning. And yeah, people always, like the people that I know, they want to always compare, well, Peyton Manning did it, our quarterback, our first round pick can do it. It's not that simple being an NFL quarterback in your rookie season. You're like, well, we have an offensive line. Okay, that's great, but you also need weapons. Then you could probably say the other way, well, we have weapons, but we don't have an offensive line. Don't you want your quarterback to be sitting on the sidelines and learning from a guy from Fitzpatrick who's been on God knows how many teams in his career, has seen it all, been through it all, done great, done bad? Don't you want your rookie quarterback to learn from that type of experience from that guy? Because to be honest here, if Tua's in the game today, what difference would have been made? And these comments could probably say, well, he learned, he got experience from playing the Seattle Seahawks. Really? He got experience from playing the Seattle Seahawks. Like, come on, guys. Tua was drafted for the longevity of the franchise. Not to go in right now in a season where, in all honesty, if you thought, for example, this guy Jack, I personally asked him, why do you want to win? Oh, to win more games. Why do you want to win more games right now? That's not the plan.
The Dolphins have 2 first-round draft picks. They have this is why the Dolphins are such a unique set of circumstances that you have to take this into account when you're looking at this team and its future. Last year, they had all these draft picks. They had all this time.
Thank you, Mike.
My mic's on.
No, I was saying thank you, Mike. This guy.
Yeah.
Oh. I had that issue earlier in the pregame. No, all I was going to say is that the Dolphins are in such a unique position that they can afford to let that sit and stew. That's why the Tua pick made so much sense for them. The Chargers needed a spark right now. They needed a guy who could play right now. They weren't convinced that Tua could play right now. No, even we were not convinced that Tua could play right now. It just so happens that apparently we got lucky with his healing. And even then, if this, again, his health, I'm not going to play with it. I'm not going to play with it. I don't want to hear that ahead of schedule stuff. I don't want to hear that, because when you're talking about the franchise quarterback and there's a potential that he may not be ready as we think he is, he has nothing to lose by sitting. Let's put it that way. Even if you think he has nothing to gain, he has nothing to lose by sitting there and watching. Nothing to lose. Now, I wrote an article way back in May, and I wrote an article. This is what I wrote in the article. There's a lot of history with players who end up sitting down for the first 1 or 2 years of their careers, and then they go on to be incredibly awesome. So I'm just going to go down the list here, just so everybody is understanding. So let's go look at Aaron Rodgers. Did Aaron Rodgers play right away? Tell me yes or no.
No.
Who was he behind?
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
All right. He didn't have to play right away. He had the luxury of being able to sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. That was the difference. So there's a little bit of a difference, but I'm going to explain my piece. So Brett Favre was ahead of him. And now, by the way, who did the Packers draft this year?
Jordan Love.
Yep.
Who's he sitting behind?
Hall of Fame
Rodgers.
quarterback.
Does he have to play right away?
Nope.
He can sit there and learn and become the next Patrick Mahomes, or if he wants to, because that's what they've been comparing him to. So speaking of Patrick Mahomes, did he play right away?
Niet.
Who did he sit behind?
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. And they almost made it to the playoffs. Well, no, they did make it to the playoffs. They almost didn't make it. Yeah. So there you go. They did really good. And now what is Patrick Mahomes? A potential MVP candidate. He's already a Super Bowl winner. There's potential dynasty happening in Kansas City. He didn't have to play right away. He could sit there and watch. How about this one? Dan Marino. Did he play right away?
I don't think he did.
Not right away. No, he did play he did play some, but not right away. He was behind David Woodley for a little bit. So it was not a right away thing. So he had a chance to kind of get acclimated to the league. And again, the list goes on and on. Carson Palmer sat behind John Kitna in Cincinnati for a little bit. Eli Manning didn't play right away. Kurt Warner was there ahead of him for a little while.
And old Kurt Warner too. Then he went to the Cardinals and started playing well. But at that time with the Giants, Kurt Warner was not good.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But he was there. And he didn't. Manning didn't start right away. Mm-hmm. Drew Brees was in San Diego. Phillip Rivers didn't get to make a name for himself until after Brees left. And how about Jimmy Garoppolo? He didn't get to play until he left from New England to go play with the San Francisco 49ers. He got to sit down and watch behind Tom Brady and let things happen. Now, I can easily make an argument for the same situation. You can go the other way around. Cam Newton started right away. Andrew Luck did. Ben Roethlisberger only sat for a week. Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson. Now, all those guys played right away. Yes, I see.
But Russ only
Steele.
played because of an injury.
Yeah.
They signed Matt Flynn to be their starter that season.
By the way, Russell Wilson wasn't a first-round pick.
He was
a third-round pick. Yeah, and everybody.
Well, and Russell Wilson lit it up in their training camp and in the preseason, right?
He did.
Russell Wilson
That's why I'm saying
like the better quarterback. We can't say. First of all, we had no preseason with Tua anyways, right? And secondly, he had what? A little less than a month to get ready for the season, and we'll just throw him in coming off of his injury. He hasn't even. You can't. No, it makes no sense to have started him at the beginning of the season or even start him right now. It's too early.
All the circumstances for the Dolphins, this unique situation for the Dolphins screams, you don't have to do this right now. There's time. Be patient. Endure one more season, and then if things still don't start going right, then you can start getting upset.
Yeah. Had it not been a COVID year, maybe, right? Had he gotten a full training camp, full
preseason, yes.
We see him out there for a couple plays against lesser guys, and we're like, okay, Tua's really lighting it up. Maybe we should give him a chance. Okay, we saw him against the same defense. Right, we didn't even see him. Right, he was just playing the same. It makes no sense, honestly.
I'm not saying this is going to be my final point. I am not saying that it's a proven formula that if Tua sits, it's going to be great for him. I'm not saying that Tua will be better for sitting. Maybe he would be better if he played right now. But just as many quarterbacks as you can name who started right away and flourished for it, there's just as many quarterbacks who sat down for a little while before they jumped in and they were better off for it. So Tua is going to be that quarterback, while Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, they're going to be the start right away guys. It's okay.
Well, and it depends on what you're sitting behind too, right? Tua's sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if you told me Tua has a chance to get Ryan Fitzpatrick's attitude, right? If we could get Ryan Fitzpatrick's attitude playing on the field and the way he carries himself and the way he lifts the other guys,
I'd be scared for his hip, honestly, but that's the point.
Right. But like the way he lifts the other guys, the way he talks to Parker and Williams and has made them better. And we get that in Tua, I think that's a home run, honestly,
because he already has it up here. We expect that, and it's just again for the people. Lewis, you can go back to last week, right? We had a great post game. Everyone was happy because the Dolphins beat the Jaguars. Now the Dolphins lose, and it was a tight game, despite what anyone else wants to say. It was a fucking. Excuse me, I don't want to curse. But it was a tight game up until literally at the end of it, right? And you have it there in a position, and now everyone's up in arms. No, it's not, we don't want to win, or we don't want to lose. We're not.
Nobody wants to lose. Nobody
I want to lose really
Nobody
bad.
likes losing. Yeah. Who said I like losing? I said I hate losing.
Even freaking as much as people are going to be like, oh, it's not credible. Pat McAfee gets asked all the time about that season in which Dan Orlovsky won them 2 games when they sucked for luck, and even then he describes them saying the locker room hated it. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose. You're not a player sitting there wanting to lose, even if your organization's putting you in that position or whatever. You never want to lose. As a fan, you never want to lose. As an executive, I guess maybe there's times where you want that, if you're in that position, right? But you don't want to lose. And at the same time, it's just there's so much on the line where it's not like Brian Flores is on a year where he's about to get fired.
Right. He's not on the hot seat. Everybody wants him on the hot seat. He's not on the hot seat.
And I would say from week 1 to now, his defense has really improved.
And
it's improved.
Would you rather be the Houston Texans right now with an all-star quarterback who are 0-4, the Dallas Cowboys with what we think is a great head coach, a quarterback that probably should get paid,
I don't think anybody thinks McCarthy's a great head coach.
Or a good head coach, not great head coach. He's a good head coach, I would say. Who are what? They're 1-3. And if not for the coming off of the Falcons being the Falcons, they'd be 0-4. And their futures are what? Bleak right now, because now if you're the Cowboys, you're thinking, what the hell is going on? We expected to win. If you're the Texans, I don't know if they really expected to win, but why would you rather be in their situations where the Texans don't have a first round pick? Their team freaking sucks. The Dallas Cowboys have all of their stuff, but they're 1-3 and they're expecting to win. They have a great running back. It's these situations where we are 1-3. It easily could be 2-2 or something like that, and are in a better position for the future than these teams who are expecting to win.
At this point, talking about Tua is just Tua's not going to play until Ryan Fitzpatrick gets injured, which seems like it can happen fairly soon. Yeah, that dude runs like crazy. or until a double-digit week in the season, right? If we get to that point with all these new COVID results coming out. So, I mean, at this point, look, Tua's in the future. Don't even worry about Tua right now. And every time we lose, it's not a Tua thing. Like man, we need to forget about that, honestly.
We don't like losing. We
Yeah.
don't. And anybody who says we like losing, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Let me actually, you know what? Let me rephrase. I'm okay with losing now because I want to win for the next 10 years. I want to win for the next 10 years. I don't want to win now and ruin everything for the next decade or so. Because you know what? Again, if something happens to Tua, you're going to kick yourself for the rest of the season and possibly, yes, the next decade, because there's no point in putting him right now in this season. There is nothing to gain for this 2020 season, which is already a disaster zone for so many teams. Again, you mentioned the Texans, Kai. They did expect to win. They had Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks in football. Of course they expected to win, but they're not. They're not. And I bet you they're wishing they hadn't traded for Laramie Tunsil right now because he's not doing so good. It was a terrible trade for the Texans. And now they're wishing, oh man, I wish I had that first round pick back. This is why the Dolphins are in sit him for 10 years. So you don't.
Well, our losses this year have come against. Yeah, I saw it too. I just ignored it. Our losses this year have come against the Seahawks, who are 4-0. The Buffalo Bills, I think they're also sitting at 4-0.
3-0.
MVP candidate quarterback.
Well, they should be 2-1, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the Patriots, who also are looking really good with a rejuvenated Cam Newton that is playing better than anybody expected.
Not really rejuvenated right now.
Well, okay.
Oh my
COVID's taking him down.
He's the only guy. The only one on the team. Only one on the team.
But the only loss we've had so far this season where I've really felt like, okay, that was pretty bad, I expected better, was that week 1 game against the Patriots. I thought that week 1 game against the Patriots was winnable. I didn't think we were going to win, but I thought it was winnable and we should have looked better. But since then, we've looked like a competitive team against 2 of the better teams in the league with 2 MVP candidate quarterbacks that have been in these positions, right? The Seahawks have been in this position for a while. The Bills have been rebuilding to get to here. They have a solid team in place. What more do you want from this team, right? They're playing competitive. They're losing close games. They're playing a bunch of young guys. They're trying to see what they have. We can't look at this team and think, oh, this team is a failure. If anybody thought we'd be coming to this point, either 3-1 or 4-0, you're kidding yourself, because that was never going to happen.
So let's go ahead, and I see some comments there. We're still on a roll, and I don't see a reason to stop. So let's talk about something other than Tua. Everybody's getting tired of Tua talk. So somebody had brought up that we want to talk about Flores not challenging that illegal forward pass. I'll admit, I actually was. I was thrown off too. I thought that before the replay, I thought that Fitzpatrick actually had passed the line of scrimmage myself. So I'm not gonna begrudge Flores for doing that, because I thought that he passed it too. I thought that was a legitimate penalty. Only the instant replay was what let me know otherwise. Now, and the settling for field goals, well, yeah, that's kind of that I won't excuse him for it. Yeah. I mean, kudos to Jason Sanders. He made 5 field goals today, for God's sakes, but still.
The brand.
Have we found a stable kicker for a while? It looks like it
seems like it. Yeah. That was Darren Rizzi's parting gift to the Miami Dolphins. Thank you for the opportunity. Here's your kicker for the next 10 years. But the next Lindo Mare.
Wasn't that playing the first quarter? That's such an early challenge. It was, and you're so far down the field, right? We're still on our side of the field. We're not. The drive doesn't look like it's really going that far. Challenging it there, right? Seems like it was really risky. Because even if you do win it, right, you lose one challenge for the rest of the game, and you don't know if you need it for something more important. I'm okay with not having challenges.
All right, so let's do this though. Let's say this. So at what point is it okay to be aggressive? Because I think the real complaint here is that Flores is not being aggressive, that he's being conservative, that he's not being gutsy, he's not being risky. He's just kind of like taking whatever's given to him. A very I almost want to say Belichickian style of coaching, but at the same time, Belichick actually does do the risk thing every once in a while because he's confident that his team can do it. So I would say the only indictment I can have on Brian Flores right now is that maybe he doesn't take enough risks. But on certain things, I won't begrudge him for. I won't begrudge him for certain things. There are things that I will. I don't like going for field goals every single time. I would have gone for it on 4th and 3 at that point. I would have gone for it. But I did want points. I wanted them to go for more points. I wanted them to go for touchdowns, even if it meant that they didn't score at that point. But there are certain times where it is better to take the points than it is to not. Like, for instance, again, this is where the argument comes in. If it works, you're a genius.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you're not. Because if it turned out later that the Dolphins didn't take the points and they lost anyway because they didn't have those field goal points later, then why didn't Flores take the points?
If we lost the game by 2,
it happened a couple of weeks ago. If he had taken the field goal, they would have won. Something along those lines, right?
No.
On top of, I mean, you could look at it that way, like the Preston Williams drop touchdown that was against the Bills, I believe, like from a few weeks ago. It's like, all right, if he makes that catch, then that changes a lot of the complexion of that game.
Correct.
But at the same time, if he kicks the field goal and then everyone will be up in arms, why didn't you do that? And then everyone was still up in arms, why didn't you take the points instead of that? That's a bad play call. Preston Williams drop. Preston Williams sucks. This and that. It's like
the joys of fandom.
Yeah,
it gets so frustrating at times. But it's like, I understand a lot of it because we've been losing for a while, but at the same time, it's like it goes back to like this is part of the future that like I don't think any of us expected. But when Adam Gase was fired and when the Dolphins were 9-7, like I don't think anyone expected to be in a better position in terms of like the future than we were at that. Or like not that we were in a good place, but like you wouldn't have expected that a year and a half ago for us to be in a position that we are now, where there's positivity towards the future. There's some glaring issues, but just like
linebacker's an issue, safety is an issue. I can point to issues all over the board.
And Bobby McCain at free safety. I want it done.
I'm surprised with losing Byron Jones.
Oh yeah,
and then we lost Shaq Lawson.
Give credit to Bobby McCain for putting that hit on Metcalf. Seriously, he knocked himself out doing it, but he made him drop the football.
But I'm really curious to see what the scene would be like if you had Bobby McCain in at nickel corner, because I think he plays that position a lot better. And if you have him at nickel corner, I think you're looking at a different defense, right? If we can get a solid safety to play back there who can play center field really well, because I don't think we've had one for a while, I think you're looking at a different defense. And today, for the first time, I mean, obviously last week against the Jaguars, it looked pretty good, but the blitz packages that they had going for them, right, on defense, we're actually getting there. And we're making Russell Wilson uncomfortable, which was really surprising and really great to see, because Russell Wilson rarely looks uncomfortable.
Right, but you can't spam those, because once Wilson sees that it's happening, he'll be able to just dump it off to a running back, and then they're going to go for big yards. So that doesn't excuse the fact that the Dolphins need more pass rush. They do. And this is why I say you throw Tua in there when the team has finally rebuilt itself to the point that we feel comfortable. Right now we try to get Kyle Van Noy in there. We've tried to get some guys who can set the edge, which, by the way, give credit again to Shaq Lawson and Emmanuel Ogbah. They did their job pretty darn well today.
Ogbah played really well.
Really well. I honestly didn't expect much from him the whole season, so give credit to him where it's due. And again, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. Right now, Jones, there's no need to rush him back. I don't think the Dolphins are going to rush him back. There's no need to. Let Igbinoghene take his lumps. He has, unlike Tua, there's no reason for Igbinoghene to sit right now. Again, this is why you can't put everybody in the same bubble. Everybody has unique circumstances that you have to analyze one-on-one. Igbinoghene can learn now from his mistakes, and ultimately nothing's really going to change because this season doesn't matter. But if Igbinoghene goes down for any reason, then you can just throw Nick Needham in there and it's pretty much the same. No big deal. Whatever. It happened. If Tua goes down, then you potentially risked everything.
Because everything you worked for.
At the end of the day, the quarterback is what makes the big difference. And if you lose Igbinoghene, no worries. You just go grab somebody else. You can find corners all over the place. You can go sign a free agent. You can draft a new one, and a discussion. You lose Tua, and your whole future just suddenly became very bleak.
With the linebacker situation, it's funny because Mike just asked what I was already thinking of. Mike is saying, need a run stuffing linebacker. Do you think this season plays out at all differently? Granted, it's hard to say, right? Hindsight. If we had kept Raekwon. Because Raekwon was pretty decent at stuffing the run.
I would say yes. Honestly, I would.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
But again, this was about the fact that they wanted to get something for Raekwon because they didn't want to let him walk. I really believe Raekwon was this was his contract year. They didn't want to they weren't going to keep him. They were going to move on because this is not how the Patriots defense does things. And like it or not, Flores is trying to build a Patriot defense.
Right.
They don't have the guy. They want guys who can do everything, not one guy who's good at really one thing, except for Landon Roberts. For some reason, he's supposed to be the thumper. He's not the thumper. He's a special teamer. But
that's what you did. You swapped Raekwon McMillan for Landon Roberts, and Landon Roberts is looking not good.
Right. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm looking at Micah Parsons heavy in this upcoming draft. And they should also probably look at a wide receiver who can create separation. A guy like DK Metcalf. A guy like DK Metcalf.
Well, DK Metcalf's a big body, but like you need.
But he's.
You can get Waddle.
That's one option for you. That's one option for you.
As you said, it's just create separation, and not like we have the guys that can go up and get the big catch. Get a guy that is going to be able to make the play. Like you have to like not just those big catches, not what we want to see from Mike Gesicki making these amazing catches. Devontae Parker, Preston Williams. Get a guy that can that can create his own separation. Get we need a run stopping linebacker. It's just
and Jakeem Grant is creating decent separations. Like when they pass him the ball, Jakeem Grant
doesn't like small guys.
Yeah, well, and also I don't think Fitzpatrick could get it to Jakeem Grant 35, 40 yards down the field because his arm's not going to make it. You can see
that last interception, you saw his arms just.
You can see him
already gone through that, but
whole body into it. He's just man, you feel for the guy. I really do. I love Fitzpatrick. Honestly, I think he's one of the most fun quarterbacks I've ever watched play for the Dolphins, and he'll
be the best backup in football if he decides to stick around. But this is why this is his last year. But we're gonna suck that one dry until it's Tua time. So unless there's anything else to talk about,
I was gonna say one thing I wanted to talk. If you could pull it up, Manny, the last comment from Richard, it says one more time on the 4th and 1 at the end of the game. Wasn't the ball short? It felt like a first down. That's why I thought they were challenging. It's like the ball was short, but inside of 2 minutes Can't challenge. Review was inconclusive. Like you can't. It
was conclusive. It was. The measure was conclusive, but
the measure was. Yeah, but, they're gonna look at the reviewer and they're gonna say, "Oh, we can't see anything." But let's be real. When they placed that ball, as Fox, if they just wanted to say, "Hey, Fox, what's that shot that you have of the ball when we were measuring it?" That's all they had to look at. But of course, that's not what they're gonna do. Yes, the ball was short. We all know this. Maybe you get some Fitz magic at the end of the game. Who knows? But I think we got to just move past that. The refs were not great.
No, the refs, seriously, they messed with the Dolphins.
There's a lot of holds that they missed.
Dwayne Brown made like 3 straight hold. That Noah Igbinoghene play before that, 3 straight plays. He had hold in the most obvious ways. It was so frustrating. Yeah. And then the Seahawks were targeting.
The Seahawks, listen, like it or not, there is going to be some narrative with the whole NFL season. It's the story. It's the story. Right. What kind of a narrative are you creating? Yeah. Russell Wilson is creating the MVP caliber season. Finally, he's going to get some MVP votes. What do you think would his chances be if he lost to the bottom feeder Dolphins?
Hey, we should call bottom feeders like the Marlins. Maybe we'll get to the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
My thing looking forward, right? I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
They play favorites. They do. We know this is true. They've been playing favorites with the Patriots for a decade and a half.
They play favorites with the quarterbacks. It's not even so much team-based. It's who's the really pretty quarterback right now? Protect him. That's not a hold. He knows how to maneuver the pocket kind of thing. So but again, I don't think that lost us the game. That wasn't why we lost.
But it was frustrating to look at.
Execute when we needed them. That was the bigger story coming out of this one, I think.
I think the biggest thing for me was that Gaskin hit. Like, he came up, smashed Gaskin to the ground, and make no mistake, he didn't get a chance to catch that football. That should have been pass interference right there. He didn't even get a chance to get his hands on that ball before he went down.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Like, there were so many options where it was clear pass interference or target, whatever you want to call. Like, it was just ridiculous. Watching it and seeing, like, the multiple defensive pass interferences that should have been called. Like, I think 2 of them were called on a drive where there was more than 2. Like, obviously things happen on every play where we're seeing things in a different light when you see things.
In all honesty, they could call a flag on every single play somehow.
But like, damn, some of it's so freaking obvious.
Well, and it was early in the game. I really liked the Lynn Bowden play call. My
Yes,
only thing with that
Wildcat,
play call,
yes. Oh
my
my
only
goodness.
thing with that play call was I would rather have, if I can pick who's going to take that Wildcat, I'd rather have Malcolm Perry take that snap than Lynn Bowden.
That was something we
But
talked about in the pregame, too.
I'm fine with, it was good to see a little bit of gadgetry and bringing him in because we traded for him. I want to see what he has.
Yeah.
I think that in time, Chan Gailey will be more willing to do some experimentation. This is part of the whole situation. They're building. They are building. They are developing. They are learning. They are growing. And that's the other reason why you don't want. Okay, well, he was retired, but listen.
No, but you get me. Like people, like he was retired. Like I like some people are expecting him to like come in and like light it up with these play calls. Like from week 1 on to now, tell me that they're calling the same exact vanilla offense and the same exact plays. Like
they're not. There are some differences, and they're going to slowly move their way up so that way they can get to the point where it's like, aha, now we figured something out here. And who knows, maybe we will see some more Wildcat. I'm waiting for the day, maybe in 2021 it'll happen. I want to see Lynn Bowden, and I want to see Malcolm Perry, and I want to see Miles, and I want to see Tua all in the backfield together. And where's the ball gonna go? Do you really know? Do you have any idea? Maybe if Ryan Tannehill becomes a free agent at some point, we can go and bring him back, and then you can let him be quarterback, and then you have
let him play wide receiver.
3 wide receiver quarterback people, and you just don't know who's gonna throw it or who's gonna go where. This is y'all just having fun with it and just imagining in your brain. It sounds so cool in your head. It probably wouldn't work in execution, but you just imagine and you think about what could be in the future. But right now, this team is still learning how to play together. They're still learning. They're still growing. So many high upside players, but that's just it. Upside takes time. This is a slow cooker team. It's not a microwave team.
The preseason last Thursday, right? Because starters only really played till the 3rd week of the preseason. We just finished preseason, right? They just started 1 week earlier. They're still learning to play with each other. It's going to get better from here. And I think it's Chris Kaufman that says it on the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast. Brian Flores and his team is always going to get better week after week. And I think we've seen that by far with this team.
That doesn't mean every player is going to start looking better every time.
Exactly.
It just means that you see that they're
a step back.
After week 1, people were asking for Shaq Lawson to be cut, Emmanuel Ogbah to be thrown back to the Wolves. And today they played a vital part of this game. The Xavier Howard interception, Emmanuel Ogbah was in freaking Russell Wilson's face and made that pressure. Like, there's just things that, like, I don't know. I'm a loser.
My one thing is next week, I won't say I'm expecting a win. I think we should, right? Next week's the Niners, right?
Yeah.
But at the very least, you got to look like a competitive team that looks like they have a chance and deserve to win if things fall right for you. If not, I think that's when you should start saying, hey, what's going on? This isn't looking good. But if they're competitive and they're close and they're in the game, you can't complain about this team.
They have to look pretty.
Yeah.
It's not about whether they win or not. It's like, do you look pretty doing it?
Mm-hmm.
That was the argument that I had years ago, and I remember that I got lynched for it, is that they beat the Jets. Remember when they beat the Jets, and ironically enough, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick at the quarterback position for the Jets? They won the game, but it was one of the ugliest looking wins that I had ever seen, and I hated every second of it. But I got ripped to shreds because they won. Why are you complaining? I'm complaining because it didn't look good. If they had lost and looked good, you wouldn't be so upset about it.
Like Seahawks fans, there's no way that Seahawks fans look at this win against the Dolphins and think, man, we played such a great game. I'm super excited about this. There's no way. Their team had a lot of moments where they did not look good. The defense, obviously, again. Their offense also stalled out at times. Like, there are happy wins and bad wins.
They think of the Dolphins as, I'm going to use again, bottom feeders. They think the Dolphins don't even deserve, right?
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we need to discuss before we call it?
Heat by 5 tonight.
Heat by 5.
Dude, listen, I don't care if it's Heat by half a point. As long as it's Heat by anything. You give me that damn win. Shut up all those stupid Laker fans.
Yeah, LeBron fans. LeBron fans.
Yeah,
not Laker fans. LeBron fans. These are all the people who just follow LeBron around wherever they go.
I wouldn't even say that. A lot of these fans were probably just Golden State Warriors fans, and they're like, let's see what else is going on in California. Let's jump it on south to the Lakers.
But if you want to hear more, you'll have to tune into the pregame right here. 5 Reasons Sports.
Hey, there you go. My last statement is going to be this. I think we can all agree. Nobody likes to listen to Dick Stockton.
Oh, God. Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard, Preston Williams, even when it's
Preston
Isaiah Ford.
Isaiah Ford, yes.
They look completely
What he
different.
told him is like Dick, it's that's Isaiah Ford. That's not Preston Williams. Like you couldn't tell him like off camera, be like, hey, yo, not the same guy. Anyway, so thank you all so much for joining us for this awesome post-game show. So thank you, Kai. Thank you, Mike. We will see you all next time and next week for another pregame.